This is the new Samsung Galaxy S8 and Galaxy S8 Plus, and there's a lot riding on them. Samsung's flagship Android smartphones for 2017 debut a new infinity display with razor-thin bezels, a promising voice agent called Bixby, and make the case for why a Galaxy phone should be at the centre of the Internet of Things. It's no exaggeration to say that the S8 is the most anticipated Android phone of 2017. The good news is that it lives up to those expectations. As expected, there are two versions. The Samsung Galaxy S8 is a 5.8-inch 2960 by 1440 Super AMOLED display, while the Galaxy S8 Plus is a 6.2-inch display. Samsung says its focus for 2017 was to balance consumer desire for a large display with the fact that not everyone wants a huge handset, to tame the complexity and feature overload as phones get more capable, and finally to make the ways in which a phone integrates within the broader ecosystem, whether specific accessories or the smart home at large, less of a confusing headache. First, you notice the huge screen that dominates the front of the Galaxy S8. It's curved around both edges, though there's no specific edge variant this time around. Samsung consciously opted for a black bezel so as to blur the transition between Super AMOLED and frame. A full 83% of the front of the S8 is taken up by display. To accommodate that, the physical home button, as well as the back and task switcher controls, have moved from their previous spot on the display. The fingerprint sensor has been moved to the back, where it's likely to encourage greasy finger smudges on the camera lens. Instead of physical controls, Samsung has used a pressure-sensitive strip along the bottom portion of the display. Press a little firmer and a virtual trio of home, back and task switcher buttons appear. The display itself is UHD Mobile HDR Premium certified, a new standard that covers resolution, dynamic range, colour space and bit depth on portable devices. Video playback on the S8 is superb, though you really need to see it side by side with a non-certified device to spot the key improvements in colour and contrast. The great display is wrapped in a similarly premium feeling body. An evolution of the old S7 Edge design, it puts toughened glass onto the front and back of a metal frame. The latter narrows to a slender bar around the longer sides, punctuated with slim buttons. On the bottom is the USB-C charging port, speaker grille and a 3.5mm headphone jack. On the top there's a microSD card slot. Overall, it's a little thicker than the Galaxy S7, but more importantly, it's 1.5mm narrower, which makes for an easier device to hold and to reach across with your thumb. Samsung has sensibly stuck with IP68 water and dust resistance, and of course there are no fiddly flaps or ports to close before you go for a dip. Inside, there'll either be Samsung's own Exynos processor or Qualcomm's Snapdragon 835. Both are octa-cores built on 10nm processors, and Samsung gets to say it manufactures both too, since Qualcomm is using its fab lines. There's 4GB of memory, Category 16 LTE, Bluetooth 5.0 and 64GB of storage. You can expand that with 256GB microSD cards. As for the battery, that's a 3000 mAh pack in the Galaxy S8 and a 3500 mAh pack in the S8 Plus. You still get wireless charging and fast charging, and Samsung is talking up its 8-point battery safety testing process post Note 7, which it hopes will settle any lingering safety concerns. Samsung has been on a roll with cameras lately, and on the S8 that means a dual-pixel f1.7 12MP sensor with optical image stabilization and 4K video recording. That's basically the same as the Note 7, though with new software for better image enhancement and blur reduction. The front camera, meanwhile, has been upgraded from a 5MP sensor to 8MP. It also gets f1.7 optics and autofocus. Alongside it, there's an iris scanner using the unique pattern of your eyes to unlock the phones. Samsung also includes Face Unlock, which, much like Windows Hello, can spot a known face and grant entry accordingly. Convenience is a big part of Samsung's push with the Galaxy S8 this year, and Bixby makes a significant contribution to that. It promises that anything you can do with touch, you can now do by voice, whether adjusting screen brightness, manipulating photos, or calling contacts. If you give an instruction that's potentially ambiguous, Bixby will ask for clarification. A new Bixby Home offers contextual suggestions based on location, time, or routine. With Bixby Vision, the camera can translate foreign text, recognise business cards and landmarks, and search products that you can then buy through Amazon. Then there are the accessories. Samsung has a new version of Gear VR with a controller powered by Oculus. That tracks your hand movements to interact with games and other apps. If you'd rather create content, there's a new Gear 360 camera. That's more compact than before, but now captures full 4K video or 15MP 360-degree photos. It'll also live stream in up to 2K resolution. Finally, the Galaxy S8's new Samsung Connect app works not only with all the company's smart home devices, from connected fridges through to robot vacuums, but anything compatible with SmartThings too. There's a new mesh router with a SmartThings hub baked in. In short, Samsung is trying to make the case that the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus are everything you could want from not only a cutting-edge smartphone, but a whole ecosystem, well in advance of Apple's iPhone 8. It'll go up for pre-order on March 30th, and the S8 and S8 Plus begin shipping from April 21st.